Yay Media Group.
What's up, fellas, ladies, billy goats, cats, squirrels, rabbits, wherever you are in your part of the world? Welcome to the Perfect Pair Podcast. Rock Teasy is who I be.
And I'm Krystal, Rock T's better half.
She sure is, man. We thank you guys for all the 5-star reviews, man. Go tell a friend to tell a friend. Man, we got an amazing guest on today. I've been stalking her for a while, but I never really went up to her because and she just called me out like before we started the podcast. But we're gonna get into all that. Let me just give you your flowers right now. Former Duke University basketball star, 2-time ACC Player of the Year, WNBA champion, WNBA Defensive Player of the Year, WNBA Steal Leader. Like when you look up the word DAWG,
okay,
in the dictionary on the basketball court, Alana Beard, a.k.a. ABZ for Sheezy, picture's gonna be like, ha, here I am.
I know.
AB, how you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
That's me. Thank you for having me, Rock T and Krystal. I know no other way. I may be a dog on the court, but off the court, I'm pretty chilled. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
I'm fine either way.
Listen, man, we appreciate you for joining the podcast. There's so much that we want to get into. Let's start with, I gave you that introduction for a reason, because a lot of these young players may not understand who you are as far as what you did and the type of player and the impact you made, not only in the women's game of basketball, but just in sports in general. So talk to me. Have you always had that drive since you was like 5 and 6, or did it kind of come along as you got older as a teenager?
Yeah. No, thank you for that, Rock T. It's something that I've always had. I grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana, in the country, right? My parents live on acres of land, horses and cows, in the next field. But I grew up just playing the sport of basketball with my brother and his friends. Was always the only girl. And the moment I started kicking their asses, I knew that I had something really special.
Okay.
And so I didn't let them forget that. And so I just started to develop this love for the game. But then at some point I realized that I could make a career out of this. But more importantly, I could be the first person in my family to go to college. And once I understood that, it became constant. It became an obsession. And I always took it as taking this burden off of my parents, because I knew what I wanted to do. But I also knew what my parents were capable of doing or what they weren't capable of doing. And I was always in the mindset of taking that burden off of them. And so basketball became that vehicle for me to achieve everything that I've done to date. I didn't know what it would have been back then at the time, but I knew what I was striving for. And so for me, every time I walked into that gym, it was focus. But I was also really fortunate to have a phenomenal high school coach who taught me the fundamentals of the game, who taught me about the respect of the game, who taught me how to show up consistently. But more importantly, he taught me how to be an all-around player, which allowed me to prolong my career for as long as I did because of that.
So I know you got a question, but before you start, baby, I don't know if you recognize that she was talking and she got to the point, she taught me how to show up. That dog facial expression almost came out. So you can try to be soft all you want right now.
I know.
Yeah, but that dog almost came out right there. It's still in you.
It is 100% still in me. And I mean, obviously we can get to that like later, but like when you transition to the business side, there's a certain approach that you have to take. But that competitiveness, it will never, ever leave me, because I think that's a superpower. And it's something that I carry with me, but it's also what I instill in my son as well.
Yes.
There's a right way to win. There's a right way to lose, but I'll never stop being competitive.
Yes. See, I always wondered, how was your transition from high school to college, and then that transition to college to pros? Like, how was that? Was on your mental? Not physically. I think the mental part of everything, because you're being the first. And what I hear from you is that you already knew what your why was. So that's what made you go hard. That was what made you say, there's no plan B. This is it. That's what I hear.
So that why No, and you're absolutely right. That why then is that why now. My family is everything for me. But, just to touch on that transition from high school to college, and it was Duke University. And I mentioned earlier that I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Right.
And so that environment shift was so different and so tough, right? I leave from Shreveport, Louisiana, which is, I was a homebody there. I go to Duke University, which was 16 hours away. Mommy and daddy's girl, get on campus as entering Duke as the largest African American group of freshmen ever admitted to Duke, right? And so it was that transition of trying to find my space, trying to find my people, academically, making sure that I am sort of achieving at the standard that is expected at an institution like Duke University. Come from Shreveport, Louisiana. At the time, we were ranked 48th in sort of education. Today, we're still ranked 48th. But it was, I'm making changes there. I'm pushing to make changes there as well. But, so coming from a city or a state where you're ranked 48th and achieving at a high level in that system, going to Duke and thinking that you're ready to achieve at that same level and realize that you're just a few steps behind as compared to your peers. I think that was one of the biggest adjustments for me because I was always accustomed to doing things the right way. And Duke made me feel like at times that I just wasn't ready for Duke. But on the court, speaking of that dog, that was my safe space, right? No one could tell me anything. No one can question anything. No one could doubt me because I always showed up a certain way because I was confident in what I was presenting as.
Come on, man.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
I love that.
So I'm going to take you back to 2010. 2010. This, like, we all have adversity hit in our lives at times. And, I tell people all the time, you got three types of people. You got the first type, when you hit a brick wall, hit adversity, it's like, man, I guess this ain't for me. I'm quitting. I'm going back the other way where I came from. Then you got the other person that's complete opposite. I'm going through this wall. Nothing you can do about it. Then you got the third person that's kind of in the middle. Like, it takes them to get a little bit, somebody has to motivate them to, how almost direct them. Maybe you shouldn't quit. No, maybe you should. Maybe this is it or whatever. So 2010 is when your injury happened, right? City. What was going through your mind? Did you ever think about quitting? Did you ever think about, man, I'm never going to be the player that I was before this injury?
I'm glad that you touch on this because I think a lot of, podcasts and media and content only show the success or the end result of it all. And as an athlete is something, and Rati, you know it. Krystal, did you play sports?
I did, but not in college, girl. I didn't make it there.
You were a hooper?
I was a track runner. I stayed in my lane.
All right. Fun internet. I love it. And so that's what people don't understand, right? They see that finished product of whatever shows up on the court, or when you, to your point, Krystal, you're at that starting line, right? And they see that end, but they don't see sort of the adversity and the challenges that exist throughout that. And I love that you guys are highlighting this. So in 2010, I consider that my year of just reinvention. It was a potential career-ending injury, and I've spoken about it publicly often, but had a 10% chance of returning to an elite level. I recall the day that I actually ripped my tendon in my ankle. I ripped my posterior tibial tendon. I was working out, was in the off season, but I was working out, going hard as usual, and I felt that tendon pop. And in my mind, I said, I got to have surgery anyway. I might as well just finish this workout. So I ended up finishing the workout. Knowing that when I walked off that court, I was probably going to be out for like 8 to 10 months. And I just knew that in my mind, but I was like, I might as well finish. And so, that maybe gives you a sense of how obsessed I was with just being great at like anything that I touch. But 2010 was that year of reinvention. I was wrapped up into the game. My identity was wrapped up into the game. But in the back of my mind, I always knew that I wanted to prepare for life afterwards. 2010 just fast forwarded all of that, right? My career flashed before my eyes. You asked, Rakti, did I doubt it? Did I question it? Did I ever think that I wouldn't return? The answer is yes. Because I it would be a lie to say that I didn't question it, because you do hear things, you see things, you know what your body once was and what it's not going to be again. And so you question whether or not you can get back to that level. And so I took that as an opportunity, yes, to rehab, prove people wrong. But the third thing was to just really focus on what life would be. And so my first venture into sort of the business world was working with the CEO in an internship or fellowship at Jamba Juice. And it's simply because I had this grand vision of building out this portfolio of franchises. We talk about Magic Johnson all the time.
Yeah.
As athletes, he was our North Star, right? Because we hadn't really seen anything like that. And so everything that Magic did, I wanted to emulate, and that was the start of that. And so became hyper-focused in that moment, that year of reinvention. And that led to me just doing everything that I'm doing now, because I always said yes. If something scared me, I said yes. If I didn't know something, I said yes, right? Because that was the only way that I knew that I would stretch and grow. But I also did it with the intent of doing it for others. Right. For some reason, that's how I've always thought about it. If I'm walking into this room, I'm pulling someone else in this room with me. If I'm sitting behind this table and learning kind of whatever it may be, right? Strategic planning, business development, or what have you, I'm learning it for the benefit of others, because I know the privilege that I have in having access to these rooms because of the work that I've put in. How do I now aggregate all of that with the goal of sharing it with others is what I've always thought about.
That is simply awesome. Do you hear me? Like, I just want to just clap my hands. Well, I'm going to go ahead and clap my hands.
No, come on, man.
Give you your flowers now, because I
Thank
think
you.
just hearing you go through that adversity right there and how you changed like your mindset. It's pretty much what he's always been. I think he was just born with it, with a no excuses, get it done mindset. I will sit here. I'm not even gonna lie. If I don't feel like working out, I'll talk my way out of it. Something's gonna tell me why I shouldn't work out. Then be mad because I can't fit in my clothes. With that being said, and then when I
We
get
all
to
have
that
those.
point, when I get to that point now, I'm like, okay, I'm focused. No excuses. I'm gonna get it done. But it usually takes something happening for me to be like, all right, no excuses, get it done. Until I met him, and then it's like, okay, now I'm learning that mindset. And I wish I would have known it way back then. And so for you to already have it and wanting to give that to others, I just want to say thank you, because a lot of times nobody wants to share that part.
Come on.
No, and again, I will, man, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like we all get in this space where we just think that we can only be, there can only be one. And so I love kind of how you've laid that out, but I also love Rock T's approach to not having excuses. Rock T, where are you from?
I'm from Detroit. What up, though?
You're from, see, all of that makes sense. Krystal, are you from Detroit as well?
No, ma'am. I'm from Amarillo, Texas.
Texas.
The Panhandle, baby.
Right. And again, everyone's journey is different, but I credit like kind of my mindset to just sports and growing up in Shreveport, Louisiana. And then my parents just sort of being of the mindset, just get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we've always known, just to get it done. If you face a challenge, if someone tells you no or whatever that may be, they're not defining you. It's you defining kind of your journey and what you want it to be. So it's all a evolution. And so I commend you, Krystal, for one, seeing it, accepting it, being aware of it, and then finding a solution to adjust it.
That's real, man, because it's when you finally get a seat at the table and you don't bring the crew with you. You don't bring, someone with you at that table, then, it's you kind of lessen your power a little bit because you become kind of a puppet, to the puppet master. Like you're at the table, but you're still kind of like, they're not giving you any power. But when you have a clan or a team with you that's aligned with the mission of everybody else that's at the table, then now that's where power happens. And that's where empowerment happens. So kudos for you for doing that.
Well, I want to say this too. My daughter had she ended up having to do the same mindset when she tore her ACL her senior year. So she has all these colleges looking at her, and she's at the EYBL biggest game. I mean, she is balling, and then she tears her ACL. She goes down, and it's just like, And so for some reason, right then and there, that's when she just started she decided that I need to know what I would do after basketball, because all she knew was basketball all the way up until then. And she felt like that was just her identity. So now she needs to figure out, who is Harmony? Who am I? What can I do? So instead of going to any of the Power 5 schools, she started looking into the Ivy who was recruiting her. So that's what made her make her decision to go to Harvard, because she knew
Love it.
right after that she could do something and make a change. And that is one of her biggest goals, is to make a change. And she wants to go
Harmony
to
Turner is your daughter?
Yes.
Guilty.
What? Oh my God. So this is phenomenal. It all makes sense now. I'm getting here, like experiencing you guys. And then I had an opportunity to work with Harmony when I did the executive leadership with Anita Burst at Harvard.
God,
Yeah.
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
this is phenomenal.
Let me tell you something.
Oh my God. Cool. Good job, parent.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel good. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
No, your story resonates, to her a lot, because when she did injure her knee, I remember after her crying and tears, whatever. And as a parent, you teach your kids and you hope that some of it is sticking. You hope that all of it is sticking, but you hope some of it. And then as she was recovering, I asked her, I said, Harmony, everybody keeps saying that you ain't going to be as good as you used to be. She says, they're right. I'm going to be better. And I was like, at that point,
Right.
I said, honey, we did a good job.
Wow. No, I absolutely love it. And she carved her own path. She did it her own way. And that's the beauty in all of it, because we think that we have this structured set of rules that we have to follow to achieve a certain level of greatness. And that is not the case. We define our own greatness.
Yes.
And I think that that's the power in Harmony's story. And I've really enjoyed watching her. So this is so cool to make that connection. I remember when it took a coach actually telling me when I was on my journey back, it took me like a year and a half to get back to an elite level. I knew I wasn't going to come back the same. And I knew that I had to like reinvent myself, not just with what life was going to be after the game, but on the court, because I could not run as fast as I could. I could not jump with the best of them. Everything was just different and it felt different. My mental was different. And then I just hung my hat on defense because that's easy. Defense is easy. It's just, it takes a ton of hard work and no one wants to do it. Right. And so that all goes back to my high school coach, who was phenomenal at teaching the fundamentals. Right. So days we would walk into the gym and we would never pick up a ball because all he did was teach us the fundamentals of defense. And so that full circle moment came around, and that is what I started to identify towards the end of my career, which allowed me to play an additional 7 or 8 years because of that. I reinvented myself on the court and made myself invaluable just in a locker room because of how I showed up every day as a leader.
Come on, man. Let's talk Project B, because you mentioned Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal. These are guys that changed being an athlete into an entrepreneur and into being an entity. And it's like, yeah, I'll endorse your project. I'll endorse your product, but I also want equity in it. So I don't want just a check that you're going to pay me to endorse your product. I want equity and stake into the product. And when guys like that started doing that is when I'm like, like that's brilliant. Because even having conversations with people about players in the WNBA, players in the NBA, players in the NFL on a pro level, it's like, how come these agents aren't having these conversations? Like, okay, especially with the superstar players, like, okay, yeah, we can renegotiate this contract, but I want stake in the league. And it's like, that doesn't happen. It's never done that way yet. Like, yet. Who's to say that it can't, though? So Project B, let's talk about it. Explain where this vision came from and why you decided to create this model for it.
Right. Before we touch on that, you said something very interesting about the agents and sort of the players, and I may get in a ton of trouble for saying that, but you asked the question, like, why do agents want to focus on that money? I think we both know what that is, and not really understanding the power and the value of equity. And it took someone like a Magic Johnson, Dwayne Wade, a LeBron James, Krystal, like all of these guys started to sort of understand their value.
Right.
And without them, there's no us, or there's no business, right? And so they started to understand sort of the value of the product that was on the floor, and they in return, wanted to be compensated for that. And I think that that was the beginning of this new shift into that modern athlete, where athletes are starting to understand that they are the business. I don't work for you, you work for me. And that is something that the system has long tried to avoid these athletes beginning to understand. And so everything that's happening within this ecosystem of sports is such a beautiful thing to watch. And that is why Project B was such a fascinating concept to me. When I left the game, I transitioned to the venture capital space as a senior associate. So I worked within the venture capital space, worked hand in hand with fund managers, startup companies, or what have you. So I understood sort of the journey of startups. But I also understood the value of equity through this entire process and investing. And so I was always on my list of goals, right? Ownership. That was always something I was interested in. And because I had such um, I don't know, attachment and journey. I played 15 years in a WNBA. That just seemed normal for me to try to pursue. So I pulled together a group, tried to pursue the expansion rights to a WNBA team, knowing that, the moment that someone else put their name in a hat, my dreams would be crushed. But I also understood that, but I couldn't allow that to just influence or dictate my learning journey. And so that entire process sort of happened. It was my start to learning how all of this worked on the business side of sports. And then Grady Burnett, who's one of the co-founders for Project B, reached out to me while I was still in that process, but was really respectful to allow me to finish that process. But at the same time, introduced me to this new concept, and it just made sense at the time. Everything that I'm striving for right now is everything that I'm being kind of told no to, right? You played, you were a part of, the fabric of this, building this, but no, you cannot have a part in this, right? And so now you have Project B come into the picture, and Grady pitches this idea of just players being at the center of the value that they're creating within this ecosystem within sports, and being compensated accordingly via the equity side, but also the cash component side on top of everything else we're layering on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Made complete sense. And so Project B, which is publicly known, we're a global basketball league, right? And it is our intent to play in multiple premier cities around the world, activating each city 2 weeks at a time, building out a celebration around the game of basketball, the ultimate connector of sports. Obviously, soccer is the number one sport in the world. Basketball is the number two sport. It is our goal to become the number one sport in the world. And I know that that's going to be a challenge, but that is what we're very much after. And so our league will be composed of 6 men's teams and 6 women's teams, 11 players per team, competing at the highest level on a global stage. And there's so much value in kind of what we're building. And I know we're at the very beginning of it, and we're slowly rolling things out. But if I could bring you guys behind the scenes and give you a snapshot of what we do on a daily basis, you would really understand it. And I'll leave it at that. You would understand what we're trying to build, because it's something ambitious and it is something amazing. And it's sometimes hard for people to wrap their heads around the fact that we're coming in and saying that we're going against the grain and building something that we believe is truly beneficial to creating generational wealth consistently for the athletes we engage with.
Oh my God, that is awesome.
Man, blazing your own trail.
Right.
Blazing your own trail.
Blazing it.
Kudos to you. Listen, this, when I first heard about it, because I'm, we're those parents. Like we love sports, we love athletics.
We do.
We didn't force our kids to play. We just introduced sports to them, and we're glad that they loved it.
Right.
But we just listen, if you ever get to the point where you don't want to be a part of this, just let us know. You're saving us money, But if you say yes,
listen,
you ain't gonna mediocre nothing.
No.
If you're gonna put time in, go be the best version of yourself, and then let's see how far that takes you. So kudos to you for being able to provide, knocking on doors and they're telling you no. I used to think my name was Noah because I got told no so many times.
You know,
is that
Well,
short for
T,
Noah?
that is the hardest thing, right?
Yeah.
That fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And being vulnerable in these moments. One thing that I don't have a problem with is saying I don't know, right? Because all I want to do is learn. And so that was never an issue for me. I think the biggest issue, and you just touched on it, as an athlete, and for many people, asking for help, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was tough. But then when you ask for help and then someone tells you no, you're like setting yourself up for failure. And so it takes a complete mindset shift when you're transitioning out of the game of basketball, because no's became gold to me. Because what it did was inform me in terms of how to move next. And so I never, ever held grudges or get down about a no. I just keep moving. I was like, oh, this is a no. I'm going this way. Oh, that's a no. It's this way. And so once you get into that mindset of understanding what no's really mean, you're good.
Yeah. It's called overthinking, AB. Me and her used to get into it all the time. I said, you overthinking this thing, man. Just keep it simple. Okay,
Right.
it's no. Let's keep it moving. Like, we knocking on doors. They don't want to open them. Let's go build our own door. Like, period.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I know you were talking about her being a woman, a Black woman, of course, and now getting some power,
Right.
getting some attention.
Mhm.
And right before we got on this interview, AB, she was like, "Man, I can't wait to ask this question." And it had to be
Ooh.
about the empowerment piece about being a Black woman. So there you go. Because you were saying, should I ask her or not? Well, ask her.
Well, that is, he pretty much asked, like, the empowerment. Like, how does that, like, I don't know, how do I want to ask the question? Like,
Well, okay.
I feel like you answered part of it already.
Well, this is let me say this. Let me say this, AB. As a Black woman, in the space that you're in, when you sit down at these tables, are people respecting you? Like, are they really respecting you, or are they saying, hey, we want to use her as a token because of what she's been able to do in this sport?
Mhm.
Does that make
Well,
sense?
No, I absolutely love it. And the answer is no, right? And the answer may very well be no, because I could care less about it, because I know how I showed up and the value that I bring to any table. And I also know what my intent is when I do show up to these tables and how I want to present and what I want to give, right? I can give you an example of when I first transitioned into the venture capital space. And one of my first meetings, I walk into this boardroom. It's about 20 or 30 people sitting around this boardroom, and I'm the only Black person in that room.
Wow.
Check. Noted.
Yeah.
And then I'm also looking around that room to sort of pinpoint, like, man, who's in this room? Who is in this room that really understand kind of, my perspective and what I'm going to, who can I connect to, who's going to help me navigate this thing. And so we were also discussing a $1.3 billion fund and closing that out. And so those numbers in itself are mind blowing, but I also knew not very many people that looked like me had an opportunity to step into these rooms. And so I had two choices. Either I could sit at this table and feel intimidated about this moment, or I could step up to the moment, present myself as vulnerable, which I am, but also all of that is going to lead to how do I get other people in this room? And to your point, Krystal, I did answer that because that has always been my intent.
Yeah.
And so what someone thinks of me or why someone believes why I'm in this room does not matter to me. Because I know what my intents are when I'm in this room, but I also know the value that I bring to any table. And I may not be the loudest in the room. I was never the loudest in the locker room. You can go and ask my teammates. But when I spoke, it meant something.
Right.
Come on.
And the way that I spoke was through action. The way that I spoke was through my work. And when I did say something verbally, people listened.
Come on.
Right?
I love it.
And so it's never, and I don't want to continue to harp on it, but it's never about what someone thinks of me, because you'll never define me. And it's really interesting, because when we announced this thing, I have this really unique way of just shutting out the noise and having just a focus on what matters. And so social media, we live in a world of social media where it can consume you.
Right.
And if I were to wake up every single day and listen to what I can't do or what I want to do, I'll never get the job done.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Never.
Ever. You'll never get the job
Right.
done.
Nope.
And so I encourage, you know, these young athletes, these athletes to don't get caught up in the noise. Right? You set your goal, you apply whatever approach you want to apply to it, and you set out to achieve it. Right? And you got to do that within this small circle of individuals who see you for you and nothing more.
Man, come on.
I love that.
Man, that's back to Harmony's story.
Right.
Everybody called her crazy for good. Where you can go to any Power 5 school and you going to Harvard? Like, why? That's not, I mean, for academics, great, but for basketball, Harmony, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that was tough for her at first. That was tough for her to deal with at first. And she kept coming back to me and Krystal and was like, did I make the right choice? I'm like, of course you did, but it's not up to us. It's up to you. Like, you have to decide, did you make the right choice? Harvard's still a Division I program. Harvard still plays Power 5 schools. You have a network that nobody else is going to be able to get when you're done with all of this. So ask yourself those kind of questions. And when you get those answers, then you come back and tell us how you felt, you know, what you come back with. And when she came back, after she did her homework and research, she's like, yeah. and then that DAWG came out and said, oh, so I can take Harvard to the NCAA tournament. I said, yes. So whose story is going to be better? She can. No disrespect for any other players, but whose story is going to be better if Harmony Turner takes Harvard to March Madness? And she's like, man, I didn't even think of it like that. I'm like, come on, man, embrace that grind, embrace that harder road that nobody else is going down. So I love it.
Exactly. And look at Harvard. Right? Look at Harvard. And it's because of the foundation that Harmony laid. And it was just a beautiful journey to just watch. And that reminds me of when I was deciding to go to Duke. Everyone told me, don't go to Duke, you stay in Louisiana, right? You got Louisiana Tech, who at the time was top 5. And then I also wanted to go to Tennessee because of Pat Summitt. Like everything in me told me I wanted to be a volunteer. But I had this one coach. I was playing, my parents let me go to Mississippi and play with this AAU team. And he said, Elena, why do you want to go to Tennessee and follow in someone else's footsteps when you can go to Duke or somewhere else and create your own?
Come on.
That stays with me, right? And it's very similar to what you all kind of communicated and encouraged Harmony to do. And it's something beautiful when you see that process lead to the outcome that you desire.
Man, come on. Project B, when does it start? When does it launch? I noticed you've already got players. Let's see, man. Let's run down this list of players you already got locked. You got Jewel Lloyd in the building. Sophie Cunningham. Oh, you got Nneka. Oh, Nneka's in the building. Oh, my goodness. Alyssa Thomas. Jonquel Jones. I mean, Cardoso. Man, you got some dogs already like Kelsey Mitchell. Ooh, Kelsey Mitchell. Let me tell y'all something about Kelsey Mitchell. Top 3? Top 3 in the league? Like right now, in my opinion? What you think, AB?
I'm taking her one-on-one against anybody. I think she's another one. She's a quiet leader. And that is what intrigues me about her. She comes in every day and she just gets the work done. She's a professional and she shows up. And when I think about the culture that we want to build within Project B, she's that, right? You want players who understands the power of ownership. They understand sort of their responsibility in being an owner and building this model, because it depends on the work that you put in that will drive the success of what this can actually become. And Kelsey Mitchell, to that point, not just from a talent standpoint, but to how she just thinks about life beyond the game, is the perfect profile. And so you just went down that list of players that we have, and we have more, but those were the players initially that understood the model from the beginning.
I love it.
And they saw the value in what we were building. But more importantly, like you understand the process of a startup, right? And you understand that this is constant work day by day by day. And we got to prove this out. And this is the start of us really proving out what we've built to date. And so, Rock T, to your point, we're launching in Q4 of 2026. with both women's and men's on the same platform, because we honestly believe when you have a platform where both men and women are seen as equals, that's when you start to elevate the product that exists. The perfect example of that is tennis, and then you also have the Olympics. I can recall our past Olympics when, it was the USA against the French team. It came down to seconds, and, Gabby Williams hit this shot after, the buzzer went off. I think it was a 2 when it should have been a 3. And then you see the guys kind of on the sideline, just like cheering them on. Like, it just brings so much excitement to the game of basketball when people see it as just a game and not gender related.
Yes.
That was an awesome game too.
It was. It really was. Were you in the building for it or watching it?
Watching
streaming?
it. Girl, you probably would have saw me on TV if I was in the building. Girl, I love the game though.
So for Project B, will it be streamed? Will it be televised? How can people, when this thing does launch in Q4, how can people watch it and keep up with it?
No, I mean, I got to take you back to kind of the core of who really, came up with this vision, and it's Jeffrey Prentice. Jeffrey Prentice is the co-founder of Skype. You have Grady Burnett, who was the CEO of global sales for Meta for like a 13-year period. I think he came in with revenue at 100 million to get to 10 billion within a 13-year period. So you have Jeffrey Prentice, who understands sort of the disruption aspect of it. They disrupted that telecommunication space. So they have the playbook. And till this date, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but everything that Jeff has told me is going to happen has happened, right? And so if that doesn't give you like any confidence in what you're building, one, I don't know what would. And then you have Grady Burnett, who's a master at building and scaling teams on a global level. And so I get to sit in this room with a Grady, with a Jeff, and then you have Aaron, who's our other co-founder, who led MGM Asia for 8 years, and then it's me. And so we're sitting in this room, and you're learning, you're brainstorming, you're growing, and you're being intentional about what you're really building. And I don't think that there's anything better than this. So to your point about how can people watch this, it is our goal to engage 1 billion users on one platform. And so there's a variety of ways that we will do that through linear, but mostly through streaming.
Okay.
Because we want to get eyeballs on this.
Yes.
We want to get eyeballs on it. And what we do know is that the way that Gen Z is consuming right now, it is all via streaming.
Yes.
It's all via social media.
Yes.
And that is something we want to really play into.
Mm-hmm.
And so having those individuals who are experts in the tech space and have been really successful in the tech space to really build out this platform gives me a ton of confidence in what we're doing.
Man, I want to talk to you about that, off after the interview, because we would love to assist in that area. Just being blessed in this media space for 25 years and being able to learn from some of the amazing people in the tech space and in media. We've been able to build our own network, and we're still kind of developing it right now. So, but we're in a position to, I don't like talking about it. I'm the same way. I don't like talking about stuff until it's done. And once it's done, can't nobody sabotage it because it's already done. They'll figure it out and they'll see when it happens. But no, I would love to have a conversation with you about that to see how we can maybe assist in that area as you build your own streaming platform. Because it's one thing to partner with the big dogs that are out there, but why not build your own? And now you take it back to the Magic Johnson, back to this is our own platform, and because we have the means to get the eyeballs, that part is easy. So
absolutely.
So kudos to you.
Let's make it happen. Let's definitely discuss. I mean, basketball is culture, and you guys are a big driver of that, right? Yes. And so it's about that connectivity around the globe. How do we take what we're building and immerse ourselves into a community for 2 weeks at a time, and not just for a one-off type event? We want to build sustainability in every city that we play in. And I wish I can give you more details right now, but what is shaping up to be is going to be something really special. And I do hope that I get to see you guys in person at one of these events. Because it's going to be a show. It's going to be a pretty cool experience.
We there.
Right.
We there.
Good.
Yes. I love it. I love everything about it. And I feel like y'all are giving these people a chance to build generational wealth. That's like
Absolutely.
and that is mind blowing to me because again, we didn't learn about that till later on.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Mhm.
like giving these athletes the opportunity to do just that. And I think that's awesome.
Right. No, and I mean, obviously, we're starting with the women because what we're building in Project B is really no different from an engagement standpoint than what exists and happens on an international scale.
Mhm.
Right? I've played in 27 countries because of the game, and out of those 27 countries, I would say 7 or 8 of those I immersed myself in at 4 to 6 months at a time because that's the profile of a WNBA athlete. You play 6 months domestically, and then you, in the off season, you supplement your income by playing internationally. But the fact that we're now capable of positioning ourselves in the market with unmatched compensation packages, which involves equity, which involves cash that I believe players wouldn't necessarily see over the course of their careers, is something really special to be a part of. I get to wake up every single day, sit behind my computer, have conversations with amazing people all over the world, and assess and assign value to the players we want to engage. And there's nothing more special other than being a mom, being able to be at the forefront of shifting this landscape that exists today to match the value that's being created by these athletes.
I love it.
Love it.
All right, man. So,
Mhm.
Honey Doo-Wop, if you don't have any more questions,
I don't.
you don't?
No,
Okay.
I
I
don't.
love it.
My little snookums.
I love it.
AB, listen, this is your time
guys are
to,
cute.
how can people find out more about it? What do you want people to know about, to look forward to, or anything else you want to promote? This is your time to say, hey, this is what I want people to know about me, what's going on with Project B, and so on and so forth. Go.
Yeah.
You got the stage.
I think Rati, you said it best. Like I'm the one that I like to do the work, right?
Mhm.
I want our work to show
Okay.
what it will be. But what I can tell you is that we're building something that is really unique and something that has never been done before. Something that centers the athlete at the core of it, not just from sort of a basketball standpoint, but from an equity standpoint, a compensation standpoint, an ecosystem development standpoint. And there's no better time to be a part of tapping into this 2 trillion plus ecosystem that exists within sports today.
Yes.
Mhm.
And figuring out ways to be innovative within this sport. So a lot of fun, more to come. But what I always like to leave people with is just staying steady in the process. I spoke to it, during this call, but people are going to say that you can't do this. People are going to say that you can't do that. But as long as you know what your end goal is and that you're intentional about how you approach it and that you're building for others, staying steady in that process is going to always get you to that next step and the outcome that you want.
Let's
So,
go. Let's jump, and the net will
Yeah.
appear. Come on now.
Yes.
Let's go.
I
There it is,
appreciate
man,
you
ladies and
both.
gentlemen. Hey, thanks a lot for once again joining another episode of the Perfect Pair Podcast. And, keep telling a friend to tell a friend.
Yep.
It was an honor for us to be able to have you on, Alana Beard, a.k.a. ABZ for
Thank
Sheezy.
you.
Keep doing what you're doing. Listen, anything that you need from us,
Yeah.
just say the word. Like, especially as we get closer to
Got
the
it.
launch, let's make this thing happen. Man, thank you so much, man.
I
God bless you.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you both. Thank you for having me on.